What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a pretty depressing rumor on the Watch Dogs franchise. So, we'll just read through the rumor first. We'll discuss it. It's bad timing. We're about 1 month away from the 10-year anniversary of the entire franchise, and I got a few things to say about that as this video goes. But let's look at this rumor first, and it comes from Jonathan. This guy is very much plugged in when it comes to Ubisoft. So, although, it is a rumor, and take it with a grain of salt, especially when it's referring to a franchise being dead, okay? Maybe you can't write it off 100%, but, the guy does seem to know what he's talking about. I would lean towards believing it, and we'll go into more of that after as well. So somebody basically asked him about it, and he responded, and he said, Watch Dogs, and this is the translation, so it's not going to be perfect. Watch Dogs is dead and buried. Legion's failure destroyed the projects on the license, including a fairly original Battle Royale. And, the translation and what people are working on, articles and putting up articles on it. Basically, you can kind of get the gist of it there, right? Legion was a failure, and they were working on more than one other Watch Dogs, game, and one of which being a pretty or somewhat different as you can be, I guess, Battle Royale. Not a huge fan of that, by the way, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, does it, at this point? And those games were canceled, okay? Let's start maybe right there. I would like more Watch Dogs games. Now, I don't want a Battle Royale. I don't want them to keep going into the trends. In fact, if you think about Watch Dogs, it can set its own freaking trend. And it had the chance, and it kind of did, I would say, in some ways, but going Battle Royale, why in God's name do we have to do that? Obviously, I think just jumping on the popular genre, of the day. But I really do think we could use more of these games. I guess it goes more into my history of it. So the first Watch Dogs, was talked about, right? It was promised to be like the greatest thing on God's earth, okay, from Ubisoft themselves. And I think in retrospect, that game was pretty okay. But at launch, the game sold very well. It did very well. But, I think to many people, at least I can only speak to myself, I was disappointed by it. Fast forward to Watch Dogs 2. Watch Dogs 2, I believe, and this is my own personal opinion again, I believe Watch Dogs 2 is the best game in the entire franchise. That game is just very fun. There's the writing of it's terrible. The story of it's terrible. The characters of it are terrible. But the actual fun aspect of it is absolutely there. But going into that, I had no hope. I had no expectation. I didn't even care. I saw a lot of positive stuff on it. I got it, and I really did like it. And then you had Legion, which I was kind of excited for. And then the game came out and was like, it's whatever. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. But I think about it worse as time goes on. So it's a troubled franchise, and I think that honestly is what makes this so sad, right? Because Ubisoft did actually do something kind of cool with it. Watch Dogs as a premise is really rad. Like, it's really awesome. And I think that goes back to, again, the false promises, with the first game. It could be its own thing in terms of open world and hacking and really messing around with the world to your heart's desire. And, a lot of that was promised in the first game. They didn't do it. But you know what? As the games went, I think they got better and better at it. So it's sad, I think, for that reason, is this was a franchise. And you're seeing people say it. I'll say it maybe in a slightly different way. It was a franchise that was kind of confused. It was a franchise that never really grabbed the potential that it had, in and of itself. So that's, I think, how if this is it for the franchise, that's how I would remember it. There were lies, there were deceptions in the beginning. It actually had a really fun second entry. The third entry kind of went wild in terms of, like, everybody's a playable character, but it didn't really work. They just never really grasped onto their own thing that they tried to establish in the first game. So it's why I think I will always want more. Really, I look back at it, and although I might maybe think a little bit more negatively of the franchise than positive, I think my overall thoughts, right, of the three games maybe is like a net negative instead of a net positive, but barely, I would say. But I think I still want more because I think it was a solid idea, and for Ubisoft to just go all in, say, on Assassin's Creed and give us like 50 of those games. Now, I'm going to play them all, I'm sure, and I'm going to try them all, but, I think Watch Dogs could have had a place in, like, the new age of Ubisoft. So, I don't know. It would be a sad day if this is true, and I think it would be true because you look and, yeah, Legion didn't do well. I talked about my opinion of it, but look at, like, how it actually did. The first two Watch Dogs games were actually very successful. Very. It definitely made them money. Legion probably did not. So, am I shocked? No. I feel like they've let things go on like worse for other properties or franchises, right? Like you look at Skull and Bones, like that thing again with a Singapore government, that's probably different. But that game was allowed to be in the works for like 10 years without being canceled. Watch Dogs, again, did it ever have like a perfect entry? No, but it basically had one pretty bad one or one disappointing financial one, and they shut the whole thing down. I don't know if that's really fair, but you know what? I guess they got to do what they got to do. Final thing I want to throw in for those still here at this time in the video, and thank you, I have a third channel. It's called Podcast Now Back to the Past. The only reason I bring it up is actually next month I'm going to be, this is what's funny about this. I had it and I gave it back to, I think, GameStop back in the day. I bought the physical edition of Watch Dogs 1. So next month, I'm going to do a retrospective. It'll probably be a 20, 30, 40-minute video where I'm going to go through and replay Watch Dogs 1, make a whole kind of essay-like video on it. So if you guys are interested in that stuff, that'll be there. The channel's got 100 other videos anyway, but I'm going to literally do one on Watch Dogs next month to celebrate the 10-year anniversary. Bad timing overall. 10 years is a pretty cool milestone, and to have this rumor line up with it, not the best. I would have preferred to hear a rumor that there was like a new game in the works, but whatever. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.